Today I'm talking all about hydration. So for me, that's going to be, when should I start carrying water? How much should I carry? Do I need to carry something other than water? And electrolytes. And obviously you can see there's a lot of things here, so let's get to it. So hydration is a very personal subject, something that you as a runner need to experiment yourself and find out what works best for you. These are just suggestions, things that work for me that I have developed or tried over the last, 6-7 years or more of trail and ultra running. So this might not work for you, but it's what works for me. We're gonna break this up into a couple of segments. We're gonna talk about pre-run hydration. We're gonna talk about short runs, middle distance, and long distance runs, and kind of what that means to me specifically, and what that means to my hydration strategy. How much water am I going to carry, and what am I going to carry? We'll also talk a little bit about, temperatures and humidity outside, how that affects the choices I'm going to make for hydration. Which definitely does play a role. We'll talk about that. And then we'll also touch a little bit on a little bit of supplements that I use here, which you can see. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to the details. Before you go on any run though, you need to be hydrated. So let's talk pre-run hydration. For me, that's just basically sipping on water all throughout the day. I've got my Tailwind sticker on this bottle, but I drink water, pretty much that's all I drink. I drink coffee in the morning, and then I drink water all throughout the day. I try to get at least 2 of these, but generally about 3 of them per day. This is a 22-ounce bottle. So I try to stay fairly hydrated and drink quite a bit. Obviously, if I run that day, then I'm trying to rehydrate my body some more. I'll drink more of this as well. But definitely, I just drink a lot of water, and I highly recommend that you do so. Drink a lot of water throughout the day. Keep in mind that alcohol obviously dehydrates you a little bit, even though it's primarily water. It does dehydrate your body though, so keep that into consideration. Leading up to a race, I will actually not drink any alcohol, generally at least by the Wednesday before the race, if it's a Saturday race, but probably honestly closer to that whole week. I just like to get it out of my system, focus on the hydration, and get my body ready to race. Feeling thirsty right now, actually. All right, first we got a short run. So for me, a short run is basically anything an hour or less. So I don't really have a mileage for that, but just, if about an hour, maybe even an hour and 15 minutes. So under an hour and 15 minutes, I am not gonna carry hydration 99% of the time. I will say, well, we mentioned temperature and humidity. Right now here in Tennessee, it is incredibly humid. We've got heat indexes up into the 100s, 101, 108. The other day it was a heat index of 108. Just the other day, about an hour with no water, and I felt like I almost died afterwards. So I am gonna modify that now. So yes, temperature and humidity plays a big role. So for me on that short run now going forward, I am probably going to be carrying a water bottle like this, maybe something a little bit smaller just to carry some water. I may even throw in a little bit of Tailwind to get some electrolyte replenishment also and keep those calories coming. What I did just the other day on a short trail run, and this was, again, going to be about an hour and a half run, but I did go only to about an hour. Again, due to the temperature and humidity, it was just insane. So what I did for that short run, and this works obviously for further, maybe a middle distance run, depending on how much liquids you take, is I carried this. This is just a really cheap waistband that we got off of Amazon. There's all sorts of them out there. Has 2 pockets, or 1 pocket really, but 2 entry points where you can slide something in there. So it just clips around the waist really simply, just like that. And so I took this with the Ultimate Direction body bottle here. This is just the small, like 350 milliliter bottle, and that slid right in there and worked great to take a small amount of water on a shorter run. Generally though, on those shorter runs, it's probably just gonna be water. Before we go on though, if you wouldn't mind, scroll down, click the thumbs up video if you're finding this informative or helpful. That would just be really cool. Moving on up to the middle distance runs, which for me is gonna be really anything an hour and 15 minutes, depending on temperature, it might be an hour and a half. In the wintertime, in the early spring, when the humidity is not kicked into full, hell, I'll go up to an hour and a half without carrying any liquids at all. But now generally an hour and 15 minutes, but probably gonna back that down to about an hour now just because the humidity is so high. But generally an hour and 15 minutes up to about probably 2 hours for me personally. I will start to carry hydration. I will actually start to carry some Tailwind. So I've got a couple different things here. This is just the Tailwind. This is the naked flavor. I like this the best. It's not too sweet. It's not, it's not too sweet, and it really works with my stomach well. I've not really had any issues with it. And it provides all the calories that I need, the electrolytes, all of that I need for a middle distance to a long run. So on those middle distance runs, I'm generally going to carry something like this waist pack right here. This is the Scott Jurek. This is an older Ultimate Direction vest. They have many newer ones now, different types. But basically you can see this carries 2 of the Ultimate Direction body bottles. They slide right in the back here, just like that. So I can carry 2 of those at one time, and then there's a pocket here. I can carry some gels if I want to take some nutrition, but that's another topic. Or for me, I might stick a phone down there. I might stick a GoPro in this one pocket here, and it works pretty well. I do have to tighten it quite a lot around the waist to keep it from bouncing, because it does tend to want to bounce just a little bit. But it's really not that big of a deal. Sometimes I might not want to carry a waist pack. Maybe I need to carry a rain jacket with me, something like that, which you can stick a rain jacket in there depending on the size of it. But I might want something a little bit bigger. And that's where I would probably go to the Salomon Sense Pro 5 vest here. As you can see, this can carry up to 2 flasks in the front, all sorts of other pockets for, nutrition products, things like that. And then in the back, you can stick that rain jacket just in case. You can stick another flask in the back if you need to. I have worn this, on some 2-hour runs as well. And I've even worn this, very long distance. I'm talking 14-hour, 100K race distance. I've done this as well. So it works for a lot of different purposes. But it works well with the Salomon flasks. Obviously, you can fit 2 of these. I've used 3 or 4 before by taking some extra Tailwind flasks or extra Salomon flasks, sticking them in the back of the vest or in this pass-through pocket back here. Works really well. So once I get to the point in my runs where I'm carrying a flask of this size, which is 500 milliliters, the way I mix my Tailwind, and again, this is a personal preference, I use 2 scoops of Tailwind per 500 milliliters. I throw it in a blender bottle like this, shake it up, get it nice and mixed, pour it into the flasks, get in the vest, good to go. Find out what works for you. Some people like 1 scoop, some like 1.5. Some might even go a little bit more, but it's gonna be pretty sweet, like a concentration. The main thing is just to experiment and find out what works for you. Obviously, there's a whole nother hydration strategy out there, and that is just take water only and then use something like an electrolyte pill. I have these because I do sometimes use electrolyte pills. Occasionally in a race, you might get a cramp coming on, something like that, where you really need to take a short-term fix. So I might take one of these pills right here, open it up, put it under my tongue to get it directly into my system as quickly as possible, or I might just swallow the pill. So these Rapid Rehydrate Maximum Performance Electrolyte pills, these have vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. And this is just something that I got off of Amazon. Again, there's tons of different types out there, so find what works for you. I'll put some links in the description below. They will be affiliate links that might help the channel. So check them out. You can see some of these products there below in the description. So now we're moving on to long runs. And for me, this is going to be something longer than 2 hours to, beyond 2-hour runs, I will use the Salomon Sense Pro 5 vest. This is probably one of my favorite, most comfortable vests. It just fits my body really, really well. And it has a lot of capacity. Like I said, I wore this at the Beaverhead 100K. For 14 hours, obviously there was aid stations. I have worn this on self-supported runs up to 20-ish miles, where it took me 6 hours because of crazy terrain or snow and ice. One thing about the Salomon Sense Pro 5 is it does not carry a hydration reservoir, at least not well. You can kind of rig something up, but it's not very comfortable with that. So if I want to carry a reservoir, that's again, we're getting to those long runs. I would then take the Ultimate Direction Race Vest 6.0 as my next for a shorter long run. So maybe in that 2 to 3, maybe 4-hour run, depending. Again, this holds 2 flasks in the front. So you've got 2 of the 500 milliliter Ultimate Direction flasks. Go right inside of here, fit just fine. I can carry the nutrition products that I need. But the good thing about this one is it carries a hydration reservoir pretty darn easily and fairly comfortably. You can pick up your favorite brand, from Hydra Pack, Ultimate Direction sells them, whatever you want. This is just one I got off of Amazon, pretty cheap. Here's the hydration straw right here. I put that in the back of the vest, and it works out well because I can carry up to 2 liters in that reservoir, so that can keep me out in the woods for a long time. Beyond the 3-4-ish hour range, I would switch up to the Ultimate Direction Mountain Vest. This is the 5.0. It just has a little more capacity. And again, this holds that same reservoir in the back. I can put 2 liters of water back there, 2 flasks in the front. It fits just fine, but I have plenty of other storage space for anything else I might need. So for me, it's very weather dependent, but on those long runs, there's been times where I've been at Frozen Head in the summer and I've gone through 4 to 5 liters of liquids on a single outing. So that might be a 7-hour run with lots of elevation gain, but it's just a lot of liquids. I could do that same run in the winter and maybe only go through, 2 liters. It just depends on the temperature and the humidity. So you really have to factor that in and how much you sweat. I am a very, very heavy sweater. I am a salty sweater. So I have to replace those electrolytes, which is one of the reasons I continue to use Tailwind. It works great at replacing electrolytes, gives me the calories. When I mix up 1 flask of Tailwind, it's, and again, 2 scoops of Tailwind is what I generally mix. That gives me 200 calories per flask, around 600 milligrams of sodium and the other electrolytes, plus all that hydration. So it just works really well at replenishing all of that, and it's just been really good for me. So I highly recommend before any run you do, whether it's a short run under an hour, middle distance, or a long run, check the weather. Look at the hourly forecast specifically, look at the dew point, and look at the humidity and the temperature, obviously. See what it is. If it's a really humid run, really high dew point as well, you probably want to carry some hydration. So the run's done, and now you need to rehydrate, replenish those glycogen stores. So let's talk post-run hydration. This is very important, very, very important. So I see a lot of runners, and this is their choice, so it's what they want to do. I see a lot of people out there immediately after a run, they start pounding beer, and that's it. Fine, if you want to do that, totally fine. For me, I don't do it because it's not good for the body right away. Your body is thirsting to be replenished properly, thirsting to be replenished. Get those glycogen stores filled back up. Get the carbohydrates that your body needs in order to do that. Get your body some protein to start repairing the muscles that might have been damaged at all during the run, depending on what you did. So for me, the way I handle post-run hydration, after a short run, I just drink water. I just get my water bottle right here, keep drinking water all throughout the day. Middle distance runs, again, generally gonna just be water. Now, if I do have some tempo work in there, maybe it's a hill interval or just a hard day, a really hard day of training, yes, I will refuel my body with some supplements. I will then use the modern BCAA. This is just, branched chain amino acids. This is the 8-to-1 ratio. I use this, I'll throw that in the shaker bottle with some water, drink that, and that's been fine. I don't do that every time. And then if it gets to the longer stuff, pretty much after any long run, and I mean 4 hours plus for sure, but probably even in that 3-hour range, that's where I go to the Tailwind Recovery. This is just an awesome product. This is chocolate. It comes in chocolate, vanilla, I think salted caramel, and I think there's one more flavor which I cannot think of right now, but yeah, it's really, really good. So 1 serving of the Tailwind Recovery is 250 calories, 4 grams of fat, 440 milligrams of sodium, 43 grams of carbohydrates, and 11 grams of protein. So really good ratio of carbohydrates to protein to get the body what it needs immediately after a run. And when I say immediately, it doesn't have to be as soon as you finish, but definitely within that first hour after the run. That's the most important time. And then by all means, after you've rehydrated, you've had your recovery drink, you've drinking a lot of water, you're getting the body replenished. Then, that night, if you want to have some beers, by all means, I do it too. So that is my hydration strategy in a nutshell. Yes, it is very individual. It's what works for me. I've experimented, I've tested other products. I have used different salt pills. I've used different products other than Tailwind. I've tried different, hydration systems. I have a lot more hydration vests upstairs, believe me. And this is just what works for me. So try it out for you. Find out what works, experiment. Find out how much you sweat. Maybe I might recommend doing a sweat test. This is really not super scientific, but it does help you to kind of figure out how much sweat you lose. And it kind of depends on the season and the weather as well. So you might need to do a couple a year. Basically what that is, a sweat test. Let's say you're gonna go for an hour run. Maybe it's an easy run. Maybe it's a harder effort run. Doesn't really matter. So before you go on that run, the way I do it, I weigh myself completely naked. Hop on the scale, see what I weigh before the run. And then immediately following the run, before I drink any of the hydration products to recover after that run, I hop back on that scale completely naked and see my weight. And the difference is how much my sweat loss was during that run. And I have had it be literally in 1 hour, I've lost 5 pounds of sweat, which is a ton. The general rule that is out there and widely considered acceptable from pretty much anybody is to drink approximately 1 bottle per hour, whether that's gonna be 1 flask, 500 milliliter flask, which is right at 16 ounces, or 1 22, 24 ounce bottle of liquids per hour. And that's again dependent on temperature and humidity, but when I'm on the trail, when I'm running on the road, whatever it is, that's what I try to adhere to. I try to drink 1 flask per hour. So if I'm on a 2-hour run, I'll probably need 2 flasks. Another factor that plays into how much you might drink during a run is altitude. Sea level, you might drink, one amount, but at altitude, high up in the mountains, 9,000, 10,000 feet, altitude plays a factor. You generally need to drink more water at altitude, so definitely keep that in mind. Especially out there, it's a drier heat when you're out west, up in the high altitude. It's drier. Here in the south, it's humid. Our clothes stay wet. We're drenched, but we're also sweating a lot. You're sweating a lot out west also, but you might not be drenched because it evaporates so quickly. So all things you really need to consider when you're out on the trails and you're experimenting. One other question people have asked in the past is, how do you remember to drink on a run? For me, it's really not that difficult because I'm drinking all throughout the run. I mean, not continuously, obviously, but every couple minutes I do drink from the flask or my hydration straw, whatever it is. I just continuously drink. However, if you do have an issue with remembering to drink, if it's just not something that you do, you can set reminders on just about any GPS smartwatch out there now. I have one on this for 40 minutes, and that's for my nutrition, just to remember to take a gel on a long trail run. I need to take a gel. So you can do that, set as many, you can set one for every 15 minutes, every 5 minutes. I would probably recommend more than every 15 minutes. You don't want to just drink 1 bottle immediately at one time on your run. Your stomach will be sloshing, you'll feel horrible. You want to drink it all throughout that entire hour. Anyway, thank you for watching. I do appreciate you all very much. I hope this was informative. Maybe you learned something. If so, scroll down, click the thumbs up. That would be really cool. If you have another hydration strategy that works really well for you, something you've picked up over the years of testing, let everybody know in the comments. That would be really helpful to anyone watching this video, and I'm sure everybody would really appreciate it. But if you haven't already, give the video a thumbs up. That would be awesome. And maybe if you're new, consider clicking subscribe too. That way you won't miss future videos like this as well. I do actually have another video out there on post-run nutrition. It's on your screen over here. You can take a look at that. Definitely check that out. Might give you some other pointers there. And then on this side, I'll throw up a playlist of some race videos to check out too. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you on the next one.